Hey guys, it's Marv here. Welcome to a brand new series where I cover significant periods in history in a limited amount of time. Pretty simple, right? Well, it won't be easy for me to fit a lot of information within 5 minutes, but nothing's impossible. And this video is intended for those that want to learn something new in a short amount of time. Obviously, if you're looking for information to put on your 10-page paper, then perhaps it may not be the best idea. But who knows? Anyways, here's World War I in less than 5 minutes. But first, a little background. 20th century Europe was complicated. It was a showdown between various empires trying to show each other that they weren't the ones to mess with. Their goal was to build massive armies so that way others would be too scared to fight against them. What could go wrong? The main cause of World War I can be seen here in this acronym. The final straw was drawn when the Austro-Hungarian Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in Sarajevo by a group of Yugoslav nationalists who didn't like being a part of the empire. Austria-Hungary sends a list of impossible demands to Serbia, and when they refuse, the Austro-Hungarian Empire declares war on Serbia, marking the beginning of the Great War. With the background out of the way, here we go. World War I in less than 5 minutes. Serbia is protected by Russia, who is friends with France. Austria-Hungary is friends with Germany, so they all declare war on each other. Germany decides to attack France quickly through neutral Belgium, which ultimately causes Britain to declare war on Germany for attacking neutral nations. These massive allegiances and rivalries would create two major coalitions in the war, the Allied and Central Powers. The old school war mentality was tossed out the window as all the nations introduced new weapons, tanks, machinery, and chemical weapons, giving birth to modern warfare. Everyone knew things were about to go down, hopefully the war to end all wars. Austria-Hungary tries to push into Russia, but it fails, forcing Germany to send some troops to aid them. Germany was having victories against Russia and were looking to push into Paris in the Western Front. The Germans dig in to build defensive positions and the Allies do the same, marking the beginning of trench warfare, which was pretty brutal. It was two different lines fortified with barbed wire and machine guns with no man's land in between. The army would climb up and charge the enemy trenches with the risk of being mowed down by machine gunners, all this to gain a few kilometers of land. The Ottoman Empire joined the war on the side of the Central Powers later in the year. The war saw some light as the Christmas of 1914 saw some unofficial ceasefires along the trenches, with both forces coming out of the trenches, coming together, singing carols and playing football. They talked, shared stories, and exchanged gifts as well. Once Christmas ended, they climbed back into the trenches and became enemies again. The trenches were filled with disease, rats, and constant damp causing the soldiers' feet to rot away. The Allies tried to gain some territory in the grueling hot trenches in Gallipoli, but were pushed back by the Ottoman. At this point, it seemed the only way to win the war was to wear down the opponent. The Western Front was about to get brutal as well. The longest and one of the bloodiest battles of the war started when the Germans launched an invasion in Verdun. It was desperately defended by the French, leading to hundreds of thousands of casualties as the Germans unleashed their chlorine gas. The infamous Battle of the Somme saw some brutal fighting as well, which had over 80,000 casualties on the first day, mainly British due to disastrous attacks. The battle saw the first use of tanks as well by the British. Britain had a naval blockade to prevent resources from coming to Germany. After many naval battles, Germany began using submarines to sink civilian ships, including the Lusitania, which had 159 Americans when sunk. Germany broke many war rules and the US opinions against Germany rose further. The British pushed up through the Arabian Peninsula, with the offensive being held by Colonel T.E. Lawrence, aka Lawrence of Arabia, who helped organize the Arab revolt against the Ottoman Empire. Russia's supplies were draining rapidly, and many of their people starved. In a series of revolutions in 1917, the Tsars were gotten rid of in the February Revolution, then the Bolsheviks took over in the October Revolution, and they pulled Russia out of the war. Which was great for Germany, who now only had to worry about the Western Front. The American economy was soaring thanks to the war, and they were more than ready to fight. After Germany sent a telegram to Mexico telling them they should invade the US, it was the final straw, and the United States officially entered the war on the side of the Allies. Germany made a fierce last-ditch push through the Western Front, which seemed to be effective, but the American troops arrived in such large numbers and that was it. The Allies pushed back the Central Powers on all fronts. Bulgaria fell first, then the Ottoman Empire, then Austria-Hungary, and finally, on the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month, 1918, Germany called for an armistice, putting an end to the Great War. At the Treaty of Versailles, Germany was forced to reduce its military, accept war guilt, and pay a huge amount of debt. After the loss of many lives and indescribable suffering, the world hoped that this would actually be the war to end all wars. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give a like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.